You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Cricket Podcast for the Rinku Singh Appreciation Hour. I mean, heroic. We need to just say this straight off. That is one of the most insane things that's ever happened on a cricket field. I mean, in the entire player pool, somebody to hit 5 sixes off the last 5 balls of an innings. I mean, Rinku Singh isn't even the top 100 players probably to do that. Maybe extreme, maybe a little bit extreme there, but it feels like he's way out of it. And then he does it. Brilliant stuff, and he deserves so much credit, and we're going to give him so much credit, and I'm excited for that. I'm Jack Hope. I'm joined by Ross Legg. Ross,
yes,
Cricket Podcast. Are you excited?
I'm buzzing, absolutely buzzing. We've had an unbelievable weekend of IPL action, and we've seen people pull out some pretty big performances. And the wooden spoon favourites, KKR, they've gone with the hero game plan approach, and it's paid off again.
Mate, they're surging up the power rankings. They started as like rank bottom, and now Delhi, Mumbai. They're a little bit above them, at least. I'm not saying they're playoff contenders yet, but I certainly think we can place them a little bit further up. Seriously, what an unbelievable performance. This is what we're going to be doing on the podcast. We're going to be talking KKR. I mean, how can we not, Ross? How can we not do them first? In our like kind of warped match of the day ordering of IPL games, which doesn't really mean anything to like our significantly Indian audience or significantly Indian biased audience, but basically there's a show called Match of the Day in England where they show football matches or highlights of football matches, and they do them in order of best to worst, and that's what we do on this show. KKR, they're taking the catbird seat, something like that. Then we're going to move on to Sunrisers playing their cricket match against Punjab. Also a wacky game. A pretty wacky game. They win there. Yesterday, the Royals tonked Delhi, and finally, to bring up the rear, El Clasico, Chennai Super Kings beat a team. And this is, Ross, these are your notes. Chennai Super Kings beat a team with no bowlers. So that's the order. That's the order we're doing things in. Ross, yesterday we went to the cricket nets and we played cricket, which ties in nicely with one of our sponsors for these shows, Serious Cricket. Do you want to tell us a little bit about them?
Yes, Serious Cricket are our cricket equipment supplier for this season. If your club needs a new set of stumps, a new scoreboard, a new scorebook, we left ours on the bus last year, then get 10% off all cricket equipment from Serious Cricket with code TCP23. They've provided I Don't Like Cricket Club, which is the club Jack and I play for, with gear for the last 5 years, and it's been a great service, great quality, cannot get better. So that is code TCP23 for 10% off for our UK listeners.
Absolutely. Let's get straight into the cricket then, Ross. Kolkata Knight Riders. I mean, basically, my summary of this is that they did a Gujarat on Gujarat. But you probably got a more developed theory, so talk me through it.
I like it, but it looks like, and this, what I find weird about this IPL is that there are people coming out of the cracks that you just forgot existed, right? Today, it looked like it was going to be Vijay Shankar's day. He came in ahead of David Miller. Nobody in the 132,000 people in the stadium could believe what they were seeing. Nobody who was watching it could believe that Shankar had come in over David Miller to finish off this Gujarat Titans innings. And yet somehow, the man who could not use the middle of his bat for the first 12 balls that he was facing hit 63 off 24. He gave Gujarat Titans, or the Almeida Bad Boys, as we fondly call them, a score of 204. Sunil Narayan picked up 3 of their 4 wickets for KKR. But ultimately, KKR looked like they were up against it. They needed to go hell for leather. They've not been known for their intent. However, Venkaiah substituted in, found the form from his first season, and found Captain Rana the perfect partner in crime as they threatened to chase down the score single-handedly. Enter Alzari Joseph. The West Indian fast bowler is proving he's going up level upon level upon level, year on year. He's looking fantastic. He showed his class. Then Rashid Khan, somehow he's 24. I don't know how he's 24, but he's got so many bloody wickets already. He removed Dre Russ, Sunil Narayan and the Lord with a super hat trick, and it looked all over. It's game over for everybody else. But the power of Tawatia was in the Modi Dome, Jack. And that piece, almost like Space Jam, it came over, it went from the soul of Tawatia and into Rinku Singh. And Rinku Singh, I think it was 8 off 14 or something like that, then proceeded to clobber 5 sixes in a row as he did 28 off the last over. And Yash Dayal, he bowled like a village cricketer, and he launched them all for 6. And it's very fitting. Rinku Jesus Singh brought them back from the dead on Easter Sunday.
So he was on 18 or 16 balls going into to the last 5 balls of the match. Single gets him on strike. Nobody in the world is thinking, oh, that single's important. Like Umesh Yadav done his job there, brought the striker, Rinku Singh, back on. And how wrong we all were. I mean, that as cricketing feats go, it's in the pantheon. I'm going to say that now. Like I think if you 10 wickets in a test match, that is that kind of level of individual one-off match achievement, I would say. Like it's preposterous. And to do it off the last 5 balls in the innings, I mean just hitting 5 back-to-back sixes here. I don't mean like doing it to win the game. Cooker. I mean if you just at some point in your career hit 5 sixes in a row, that is like a feat of unprecedented brilliance that you've accomplished. If you did that like against a kids team on a 30-yard boundary and you were a professional cricketer, that would be quite good going. Like to fully time up 5 balls. He's done this in the last over of a game against another professional cricketer. He's hit sixes to like 3 or 4 different parts of the boundary as well. It's not like there is there is a short-ish singular boundary. But he's kind of semi gone round the dial in the arc anyway. It's a miraculous piece of skill and strength. Like I really don't think we can praise it high enough. What he's pulled off there.
Yeah, it was absolutely superb. And then you saw, I think for the first time with Hardik Pandya not being around, kind of he's such an important linchpin in our Bad Boys, right? Offers with the bat, but so important with the ball. And here, them having to turn to Yash Dayal, like the guy ends up going for 69 off of his 4 overs. Like that is.
I mean, it's not great going into the last over, to be honest, is it? He's gone for 38 off 3.
You're looking around going, is there anybody, does anyone from the crowd, can we impact someone from the crowd to bowl? Oh, we've already brought in Josh Little. It wasn't a good look for them. And it was the first time they'd kind of been found out. I was a little bit disappointed they didn't try and channel the brilliance of Vijay Shankar and give him the last over.
Well, I mean, they probably would have won. I mean, like, like I say, Rinku Singh, it's unbelievable. But it is heroically poor performance from Yash Dayal to lose that match.
And like, you were seeing some of the deliveries he was bowling. You were just like, what are you trying to achieve?
Yeah.
And it was, when Ben Stokes got battered all over the place by Brathwaite, he was kind of just running up and bowling quick, and he didn't slow it down, didn't seem to have a plan, and just Brathwaite took him to pieces. Yash Dayal fell into that trap today, and he needed an arm round him. And this is the bit where Rashid Khan, as vice captain or as captain in this game, again could have done a little bit more, I think.
Yeah, possibly. I think it really exposed. I mean, if we're going to talk a little bit about Gujarat before we talk about KKR, because like we said on the last show, they are an extremely fun team. KKR. Like both of these teams are really fun. Both of these teams are really fun. Yeah, I mean, this might be the fun derby of the IPL. Like they're not like it doesn't necessarily make sense what either of them are trying to do, but there's like good vibes about them. It's like, oh yeah, we're going to send in Shankar now. Like we have a guy who averages 175 for us.
Yeah. He's been our best player, best batsman for what we won the tournament with him last year.
Not going to use him,
mate.
Yeah, we're not going to use him. We're going to use Vijay Shankar, the guy who wouldn't be in the team without the invention of a rule, the super sub rule for this season. And we're going to use that guy. And then the other, they flipped the script. Anyway, it does expose. This is the point, the fifth bowler thing, and your point about the importance of Hardik for Gujarat. If we're going to be kind of critical of them, it's a major weakness that they have as their fifth best bowler, Yash Dayal, and it seems that he's going to have to bowl out in other games if Hardik isn't available. This was the fear, wasn't it? Like, this is why we didn't have Gujarat down as a banker for the top 4. We thought Hardik, really good chance of an injury there. I think it's sickness rather than injury, so maybe not like terminal, but they are.
It's not terminal illness. Can't put those two together.
But they're a significantly weaker team without the big man, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just that he's shown himself as quite an astute leader. You see he does calm people, the whole thing down. He bowls the difficult overs. He's not like the Ravi Jadeja captain when he was doing CSK. He was like, I'll bowl the 7th over, lads, and then we'll see what happens from there. Hardik is in the mix. He puts himself in these difficult situations and doesn't ask anyone to do anything that he wouldn't be willing to do. And I think that, in this case, they just missed that. There was obviously big props to some of their players. Yeah, as we said, Vijay Shankar had one of the games of his life. There is a number 4 space in the India team for the ODI World Cup this year open. Maybe Vijay Shankar fits that. In any other game, we are talking and waxing lyrical about how good Rashid Khan is.
He took a hat trick, Ross, and it's taken. We've been talking for 11 minutes, and we've not mentioned it really.
He's taken Dre Russ, who you'd think is capable of this type of Rinku Singh innings, right? He's taken Sunil Narine, who probably not quite there, but is still decent enough. And then the Lord has been in unbelievable form. Won the game 2 nights ago.
No, I would go as far as saying he's taken the 3 most. Well, maybe not quite this far, but like certainly 3 of the 4 or 5 most dangerous players on that team. Like
definitely.
What do they need when he came on to bowl? 10, 11 and over. They'd done a good job of driving the rate down. It was the KKR were in a position where they should have won the match when he begins that hat trick sequence. Then at the end of it, it's they're not favourites anymore. Gujarat are massive favourites.
Huge pendulum swing. Yeah, absolutely.
Like that really should have been the moment that won the game. And barring preposterous stuff. I mean, like if you want to look at it mathematically. Crick Metric, the really good website for cricket stats, they have like a game predictor, and they tweeted the graph of it. And the first 4 sixes made no difference. It was still I think the first 3 sixes. So it was a 99% chance or 99.5% chance of Gujarat winning. Then they hit a 6 and it was still that. And then they hit another 6 and it was still that. Then they hit another 6 and it was still that. Then they hit another 6 and then it went to 95%. Like it was. That's how ridiculous the set of circumstances are. Like we might never ever see this again in any professional T20 match. Like that's how insane what Rinku Singh had to do to sort of flip the script here. And how important, if you think retrospectively, how important that over from Rashid Khan should have been. Like that should have been like a match-winning moment. That's why you paying the big bucks. He takes the hat trick. He gets all the good players out. It has blown my mind. It's probably the greatest finish to an IPL match ever. This is probably beyond the Tawatia game.
Oh, it's a big shout. It's a huge shout. But again, this is the beauty of these two teams. As you said, I think you summed it up nicely that KKR did a Gujarat to Gujarat. I thought it was a perfect way there. And what I liked about this is that KKR have kind of said, look, we know we've got our limitations, but we are going to have our game plan. We're going to try and spin to win, and then we're going to have the hero batting. That's what we're going to try. We're going to try and set it up so somebody can save us. I think what is great here is that Venkatesh Iyer actually turned up for the first time in 16 to 18 games. And it was a perfect innings from him. And Nitish Rana, again, started to show that he's got a bit about him from a captaincy perspective. Great innings from him as well. This is the Catalina wine mixer of games, this one, and it's turned out bloody brilliantly.
Yeah. So what does that make? So who is Rinku Singh? Will Ferrell, or is he John C. Riley in this?
I think Rinku Singh is more John C. Riley.
Okay, and then Venki Iyer is Will Ferrell. Is that what you're? That's what you're saying. And what does that make Rashid Khan like? The brother.
The brother.
Yeah.
The brother.
Seriously incredible. Let's talk for a second about what this might mean for the rest of the season. I think on the Friday episode we were talking about KKR a little bit and how they won that game and how it Shardul Thakur channeling Dre Russ. I love the phrase, you can kill the man, but you can't kill the idea. And that's effectively what Kolkata Knight Riders are doing. You can get Andre Russell out for a golden duck or one off two balls, but his spirit lives on in Rinku Singh or Shardul Thakur. Let's talk more seriously though. Is this the moment of the season for KKR, or is this something they can build on?
I think this is one. It is great for the IPL. You need to always pin back a couple of early horses, right? Gujarat Titans came out with 2 wins from 2, and I think this is great for the tournament.
Yeah,
KKR. I think that they've stumbled across a bit of a formula here, which is not sustainable. I don't think they've and by stumbled across. They've tried it with Andre Russell, and somehow Lord Thakur picked it up, and then Rinku Singh picked it up. I'm not so sure about it. Like, in terms of the levels of fitness that are required, it asks big questions around Venki really returning to form, that this isn't just a flash in the pan. Gurbaz is okay as a player, but is he really the person you really want? And so I think he's doing an okay job. They've bought Jason Roy for 2.8 crore or something like that as a backup. You're kind of sitting there going, right, they're probably going to try and shoehorn him in. And this is it's interesting at the moment. I don't think that they can continue to put it off, but it's going to be a pretty fun ride. What was also a little bit concerning for them is that they've obviously taken out Tim Southey for Lockie Ferguson. Ferguson at the death is all over the place. The last 12 months of his reign in that role, he's not doing brilliantly. And when you've got Thakur as your other person, it's not exactly what you're looking for. So there's still massive question marks about KKR. I don't think they're going to be good enough to get the playoffs, but they've shown that they've got enough about them to take a few scalps along the way.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you. I think sometimes you see, I mean, there's like elements, aren't there, to putting together a good team, particularly over these. I mean, 14 matches isn't that much in a really volatile format like T20 cricket. So there are factors that can come into it, and I think one of those factors is genuinely team spirit and the players wanting to be there. And I wonder whether back-to-back matches like this give people a little bit of a sense of self-belief, basically. Maybe not self-belief, but like interest in the tournament. Like maybe elevate it beyond just a payday. Like, they make people focus just a little bit more and try just a little bit harder. And I wonder whether we could potentially see something from KKR a little bit like Gujarat last year, where it's just like random guys come in and they have their moment in the sun and then they fade away. I suspect that we won't, but I'd love it to happen. I think like the 2 matches that they've won in the last 4 days have been cracking IPL contests, like that RCB game where they effectively lost the match, and then Shardul Thakur of all people just destroys RCB, like destroys them.
Well, they play Sunrisers Hyderabad next, so that is a game, a must-win game for them, right? If they want to put in that position, that'd be huge. 3 out of 4 at the first 4 games would be massive for KKR.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, Ross, we've talked about this game for 15 minutes. Are there any other points that we need to go into, do you think?
I don't think so. I think huge performance, great to watch, and just an insane weekend. And this it's perfect starter for Sunday ahead of the Masters finish tonight.
Well, I mean, I wanted to go off on a slightly different sport tangent, because I've noticed in the chat a few people saying that we've had 2 great games of sport today, but this was one of them. Arsenal 2, Liverpool 2 being the other. As a Spurs fan, were you excited about that, just to round off part 1?
No, I was more impressed with the referees having the worst refereeing game of all time yesterday, where Spurs managed to burgle a win against Brighton.
Okay.
Brighton should have had 2 penalties and should have not had 2 goals disallowed. It was bonkers, and Spurs were sitting there just like, we're just going to be quiet about this. We're fine. So,
fair enough. If you are, I just called out to the chat. I've been reading the messages, really loving the conversation that's been generated there. If you're watching, click subscribe. I think we're up to 12,950 subscribers. So we're 50 away from 13,000, which is, as they call it, the promised land. So help us out. click subscribe,
Mhm.
hit like on the video as well, and if you want to leave a super chat just to round off part one. We did get one in before the show even started, Ross, which is
That's very
unprecedented.
nice.
From Anirudh. Did CSK's luck? Did CSK luck into a better combination for road games due to injuries? Maybe we could bring in Ali for Santa to bolster the batting on faster decks. We're going to do it. Let's do just to finish this bit, because it was a super chat and because we really appreciate it. Let's just do a little bit of CSK v Mumbai before we bump them off 25 minutes down the road. Can you answer that? What do you think about CSK's lineup against Mumbai?
I think you've got to have the depth in your squad to do things that are a little bit different. And they're playing at the Wankhede compared to the Cheapok kind of requires a different skill set. And I thought actually they showed today that they've got that flexibility. Or yesterday, sorry. They've got that flexibility. And yeah, they've still got the magic potion to bring the best out of kind of not has-beens, but kind of people who are in the latter part of their career. And Rahane showed everyone just how good he really could be. But there's also a bit here. Mumbai literally turned up with Jason Berendorf and Doughboy Chawla as their bowlers. They were never ever going to win that game.
I mean, I'm looking forward really to hosing Mumbai again, because it's really easy content to generate. You just say the same points with a little bit of energy as the last show. It's a franchise that don't learn. Really, really bad from them. And I think, to be fair to CSK, you can only beat what's in front of you, and I think they did a pretty good job putting out a team that made sense, and they were professional about it. As bad as Mumbai are, you could fuck
They
up.
got big games, they got big players.
You could fuck up and let Surya Kumar Yadav get 120, and then you lose that match. Like that will happen to somebody this year. Somebody from Mumbai is going to destroy another team's bowling attack. And everyone, and that team are effectively going to cough up a win, or cough up a loss to a team that are, if you're being polite, in disarray. If you're not being polite, fucking useless. CSK aren't that team. They aren't that team. They went away, they won, and they're in a really good spot, I think, for making the playoffs. We'll talk about them in a little bit. We're gonna hit the break button, and then we're gonna come back with Sunrisers, aren't we, Ross? So get your summary ready for that.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Cricket Podcast for part 2 of our 3-part IPL weekend extravaganza. We've still not named that. I mean, what do you reckon we should call it, the weekend show? We've got Wednesday analytics, we've got Friday Q&A. What's the Sunday show?
Well, I like the Sunday show's got a nice ring to it, but let's put it to the chat, and if in the live chat, if you can put in your recommendation, and we will pick the best out of that. Refer to it as that from now on. Jack, we are in a great position. We've had KKR, and Rinku Singh just spoil us with brilliance, and then we've had Sunrisers play.
Yeah, we have. This was the last game of the 4, and it was truly bizarre. Like, it was a really bizarre match. I think your comment to us, or to me, I'm using us because usually Max is with us, but I don't know where he is today.
He's here in spirit. He's here in spirit.
Was that Sunrisers have finally picked like a coherent 11, and they have won, and they were actually won pretty easily, didn't they? It was a game that they are, looking back on, it feels like they should have won much more easily than they did win, but they did win it quite easily, Ross.
Yeah, it's late wicket win, 17 balls left in the game. You saw here that they decimated the Punjab Kings top order. They forced them into an early substitution as well, which was quite fun to see. What I didn't really understand here was how Punjab actually lined up. They were just we don't really need batters in this game. We need to give ourselves flexibility. Everyone was talking about, Rabada, he's back. We need him in the starting 11. And then they turn up with 3 overseas players in this lineup. And it didn't make too much sense to me. The first 2 games they'd obviously won. They were looking like they were doing sensible things. And then they went all Punjab comedy kings on us. Sunrisers on the flip side had looked like a massive joke for the first 2 games. Here they were just like, you know what? Let's just put our players probably in the position they're going to be best in, and actually give ourselves the depth that we need and the quality that we need to do what we need to do. And yeah, they look like the team we were anticipating before the tournament.
Yeah, and I think sort of fair play to Sunrisers as well. It looked like they'd fully gone off the rails. I mean, you can't. There's not really a Comedy Kings thing that you can do with Sunrisers. I mean, like some Sunsetters or some shit like that. But after their first two matches, Brook not firing, Markram kind of making some of the worst decisions in the history of the tournament in the last game, and Brian Lara. I mean, I think I said on Friday that had Brian Lara made those decisions in like a more serious sport league, I don't mean like that the IPL isn't serious, but I mean something with a bit more history and a few more norms that people should follow, like the Premier League or the NFL or something like that. Had a manager come along and made so many bizarre decisions, they'd have just been fired for incompetence. They would have been fired. Brian Lara gets away with it, and it had the feeling of a season that was going to peter out a little bit after some early hype. Then they turn up, and look, it's always nice, isn't it, to be honest, if you completely blow away the opposition's top order, barring one very impressive innings from Shikhar Dhawan. It's always nice if you can do that and kind of get yourself an easy win. But they will be feeling more positive now, and I think they have got something to build from, and if they win the next match, then they're 2-2, and like they're properly back in the race, and things do feel a lot more optimistic. From Punjab's point of view, though, I feel like it's a really bad way to throw away
a great start.
What was like momentum, like confidence and stuff like that. Should we I think they're the most interesting team to talk about here. I think Sunrisers, they are an interesting side to talk about. We've given them a lot of air because they were so bad in the first two matches, and I do want to say I liked what they did today, and I think Janssen was really good in the power play, and it made a lot of sense. And Tripathi getting a bit of form, that's only a positive thing for them. And I actually think Harry Brook opening the batting, that might be a kind of logical future.
It's a fun idea.
Yeah, if we know he's not so good against leg spin, let's use him in the bit of the game where there's no leg spin. That kind of makes sense.
And it was nice to see as well that Sunrisers had their game plan, right? The bowling unit looked like a proper bowling unit today. The captain was making the right decisions. Like he didn't bowl himself. Instantly a plus point for Aidan Markram. And yeah, Sunrisers fans, you should be so much happier. Like this should be the blueprint for them moving forward. Yes, they dismantled people in the power play, but you had 145 to chase. You had two opening batsmen who kind of just like, right, let's calm the nerves down. We don't typically like that kind of thing. We're like boom, boom. But then that set up what Tripathi and Markram had to do later on. And it was a professional, clinical performance by Sunrisers. And how often have we been able to say that in the last 2 years?
Well, no, absolutely. And I think big props goes to Markande and Malik in the middle overs as well, to build on what Janssen and Kumar did, to put in the Kings under pressure, and then to take 6 wickets through the middle overs. So there was just no fight back, basically.
Absolutely.
They did. I mean, Shikhar Dhawan did amazingly. This is let's go on to the Kings. Let's talk about the positive first. Shikhar Dhawan got 99 runs out of 143. I mean, that's how mental today was. This is like the 5th most interesting thing that happened, and this is one of the nuttiest innings that you will see in the IPL. The guy's got more than 2/3 of the runs. He's done like a Bannerman. Like it's there's 6 extras as well. So there's 137 runs off the bat, and one guy's got 99 of them. That is incredible. The only other guy to get more than 4 is Sam Curran.
Yeah,
that's nuts. So amazing props to Shikhar Dhawan.
True captaincy and true captain's innings, wasn't it?
Yeah. But everything else sort of was weird. Let's talk about the makeup, and I think that's where we both want to go with this. That they've made some decisions. They want to get Matt Short in, or they're using Matt Short instead of Rajapaksa, assuming there's some sort of injury there. They only named 3 overseas. Now, we were a bit confused about this. Do you want to explain why you were confused?
Purely on the fact that they with Johnny Bairstow being out, yes, Rajapaksa did okay in the first game. Then he got injured, and they actually looked like they'd accidentally stumbled across a bowling a really bowling positive lineup. And here they had the opportunity to add Rabada into an already brilliant lineup, right? Nathan Ellis took fourther in the last game.
Yeah.
Raul Chahar's finding a bit more form in that space. Sam Curran has been bowling the difficult overs and be doing a decent enough job kind of taking the important wickets. And then you thought, well, hang on a minute. So Rajapaksa can't play because he's injured. They're going to add Kagiso Rabada, the former purple cap winner, into this lineup. That is a fearsome view on what you're going to do. Yes, Matt Short's been drafted in, but I kind of thought actually they should be going with some local talent and trying to go, do you know what? Let's stick to the game plan. Let's aim for 150, aim for 160 and see if we can then blow these guys out. And they kind of didn't do either today. They literally left themselves short in the batting department and short in the bowling department. And yeah, this was a sunrise. This was a Punjab Kings of old decision making when it came to team selection.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think sort of the problem here is that they didn't actually have a game plan, and I think maybe they believed their own hype with the bat a little bit. Now, before the season, I think most people were thinking this team without Livingston might be a little bit short on the run side. They've had 2 really good games where they've piled on the runs and they've looked good. And I wonder whether maybe they, instead of sort of critically thinking like, is this repeatable? Like, are we a 200 side now? They were just like, yep, we're a 200 side. Like, we're just going to assume that is going to be the case. And so they've made what I think is a little bit of an arrogant call by naming.
That's pretty fair.
Naming 3 overseas and having this situation, I guess, where they can go for the emergency player, Sikandar Raza, or they can go for the bowler, Rabada. Now, if you have like a nailed-on, rock-solid top 4, I don't necessarily mind that, because like what you're doing is you're saying we're 90% of the time here we're going Rabada, but 10% of the time we are going to have a little bit of an issue, and we're gonna use Sikandar Raza to keep us in the game. Here, I think they didn't really know what they were doing, and I think that shows a little in the way they went about scoring runs and the way they went about their innings before that happened. Then they have to press the Sikandar Raza button with like nowhere near enough runs on the board. I mean, at that point, they actually. I mean, and this is where I think like the plan also sort of falls down. At the point where they bring in Sikandar Raza, where does he bat? 1, 2, 3, like 6 or 7. They're almost they're almost in a situation where they're going to need like a miracle performance with the ball. Like Sikandar Raza is unlikely to be able to get them enough runs or do enough damage that they're going to have 170 or 180, and then their now weakened bowling attack will be good. They might as well have just been like, well, we're going to go for Rabada and hope we can bowl them out for 120, or hope we get. I
didn't even understand.
Okay,
but
it's just an odd.
I don't understand why they went for Matt Short. I guess bringing him in, he's had a decent BBL.
Well, I think it's
ultimately
he's the replacement for the replacement. So if we're saying like who do they want as their overseas batter in this scenario? They want Livingston, don't they? They can't have Livingston, so they had Rajapaksa, and that was working pretty well. Rajapaksa goes down, so who they have to return to the third choice, and I think that is effectively Matt Short. Then that creates a problem, because before when they had Rajapaksa and Sikandar Raza, then they had like this not emergency bowler, but they had Raza's overs to use to bowl a bit in the middle, or to
he's not exactly attack. Explosive, is he either? Like
no, but they had a little bit of flexibility there. If they had Matt Short and they don't if they. I mean, this is where it also sort of doesn't make sense, because if they have Matt Short and Rabada, they have better overs. So it's not. I just don't think they've thought about like what they actually want from their team. I also don't really rate, and a few teams have done this, and I'd be interested in your thoughts on this. I don't necessarily rate that we're going to name 3 overseas, and one of them's going to be impact sub, unless it's a really obvious call. Like, I don't know. I think Gujarat did it with Josh Little, presumably because he can't bat at all. Like, if it's that, and you're going to use the guy, I think that makes sense. If you're just like, oh, we actually don't know who our best player is here, I really don't rate it. What do you think?
Yeah, I just think with the expansion to 10 teams, you add obviously some more domestic talent into the lineups, and there is a lower quality coming into this. I think you need to be, if you've had a good auction, you need, and you have to remember, Punjab left so much money on the table that they've only got themselves to blame when they're in this position. They should have a very clear cut view on who their best players are going to be and utilizing their overseas players as best as you possibly can do. I think you have failed as a franchise if you are not picking your four best overseas players. You need to have strong role definition throughout the tournament. You need to have a clear way of playing, and both of those things were not ticks today for Punjab Kings.
Yeah. A bad one for them. A bad one for them.
Yeah.
I think they fall, in my estimations, quite significantly after this. Like, I think if this is... I really was ready to get behind them. I think this happens every year with Punjab. Like, they play, they do something good, and you're like, oh, this is a really exciting team. Loads of talent. I want to back them. I'm going to get on the bandwagon. And they put in a performance like this, and you're like, oh, I can't put myself through the ringer with a team like this.
But sometimes you need a bit of an early wake up call, right? And
Maybe.
sometimes they're having their wings clipped a little bit so that they can fly later on. Livingston is apparently going to come and he's going to turn up for Punjab, which is great. It's a huge addition, and maybe there is just that piece of going, lads, we really ballsed up here. Jack, we've had a lot of chat that we are two English fans. Well, we're two English people, and we avoid talking about how bad England players can be sometimes in the IPL. And we've got Krish, a human being, Mayank, loads of people in the chat sitting there going, hang on a minute, Harry Brook's having a really torrid time. Why are you skirting around
I don't
that
think
issue?
this is true. I think we've talked a lot about Harry Brook and how he's been bad. I feel like this came up a lot on the last show.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it a little bit. I mean, we didn't really need to talk about it today because like, it really wasn't part of the match narrative. Like Harry Brook could not have played, and they'd have won.
Did you the ball to, and there's also that piece of Arshdeep Singh absolutely did him a cropper with a beautiful knuckleball. It was a gorgeous delivery.
I've said it a few times. I think he needs to learn to be a bit better against leg spin, and there are two things he can do there. Either he can smash it and make it really, really expensive to bowl leg spin to him, or he can make it difficult to get out, or for him to get out to leg spin, so he can just sort of survive it and thrive against all the other types of bowling. And the data says that he does thrive against all the other types of bowling. That's what he's got to do. Today, gets out to Arshdeep, shit happens. The other thing is, like, absolutely, there is not a single IPL player who has played more than sort of 3 seasons that hasn't had like a year where they weren't good. We could, if you want to talk about players that aren't doing well, maybe we will. Surya Kumar Yadav, he's rubbish now. Is that the narrative there? It's just not true, is it? Like he's been bad for 2 matches. He's like Brook's been bad for 3 matches. I'd also probably say that Brook's not a proven T20 player. It was a bit of a gamble. It was probably a slight investment that SRH have made towards the future. And by the way, a better one than like Devil Brevis or something like that, or Cam Green. Like, at least there's reason to believe that Harry Brook might be a generational talent. Like, it's not just he smacked around some farmers in the South African 3rd division. Like, there's a lot of stuff that Brook has done that is good. If you want to focus on like a player that's not doing well, I mean, you can if you want to. It's a story for sure. I don't even think it's like one of the headline flops though. I think there's. Well, no, maybe it is. Maybe he's in the top. He's in the top 10 flops. We did a tweet the other day. I think he's in the. Maybe might even be in the top 5 flops so far. But it's not. I'd go as far as saying if after 3 matches you're like Harry Brook waste of money, you really don't understand T20 cricket. After 10 matches, we can open the conversation.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, give it a little bit longer. Give him a bit more of a sample size. That's what it's all about.
I think he might end up being a player a bit like Glenn Maxwell, where it in T20 cricket, where when it works, it's just like the best thing you've ever seen. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it doesn't work for 10 games in a row.
There we
It's
go.
going to happen. Do you remember that season when Maxwell didn't hit a 6?
Yeah, absolutely. That was
no one's saying he's a waste of money now, are they? Like, it's like you have to think about these things in the long with the long view in mind.
Yeah, or look at Nicholas Puran. Nicholas Puran literally averaged 9 over a season. And now people go, what a great pickup from Lucknow. So, yeah, swings and roundabouts.
Should
Jack,
we do the next game?
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Who should we go to next?
I think we said in the order that it wouldn't be Mumbai.
Royals?
So, yeah.
Okay, let's go
Royals. It's going to be Royals. You're a big Royal man.
I'm a big Royal man.
Tell us what happened.
Well, the big news was that Devdutt Padikkal was dropped after his fucking seance that cost us the last game. The guy absolutely shit the bed, and fortunately they were just like, you know what, we've had enough of this. So Jaiswal and Butler plundered what I think was 98 runs from the first about 8.5 overs. And the intent that we're getting from Rajasthan Royals this year is great. They are playing like serious contenders. Yes, they lost a match, but the way in which they're going about it is commendable. Shimron Hetmeyer, I think he's gone under the radar a little bit, but he's averaging 97 at 176. Another strong start from Hetty. And unfortunately for Delhi, things have just not clicked into place. Their bowling was a bit all over the place. Norkia turned up and was expensive, to say the least. And David Warner is more interested, I think, in getting the orange cap than he is for actually winning games for Delhi. He's going nowhere fast, and that is not helping the team at all. I think the balance is all wrong for Delhi as well, and you saw that in this game. And they got nowhere near Rajasthan Royals total, and there'll be there's big questions to be asked for Delhi at the moment, as they've lost now the opening 3 games, and yes, not looking rosy.
Yeah, I think they're in big trouble. I think they're basically out of the contest as far as I'm concerned. I thought they were going to be a pretty competent side going into this year. I know they're missing Rishabh Pant, but based on how good they actually were, if you looked at the fundamentals last season, really good net boundary rate, they should have been competitive, I think, and they're just not really, are they? I don't think they found the right combination of overseas players. I think they picked Marsh for 2 matches, and I think, looking back on that, I just don't really get it, and I don't really get Warner, like what he's trying to accomplish. I mean, I understand him as a player and like how destructive he can be and how good he was last year, to be fair, as well. But I don't know whether he's got the captaincy and feels like he has to bat a different way, or help build totals, or what it is. But this is like 3 games where he's played really long but mediocre innings. Like 65 or 55 here is a. I wouldn't. It's It's clearly not a match-losing innings, because everyone else was so crap that the game is lost. But you're not looking at that and being like, oh, if only a few guys had stuck with him. Like Shikhar Dhawan today, 99 off 66. He has single-handedly given Punjab a chance there. Like, by himself.
It's not a very big chance. Yeah. Not a very big chance, but he's given him a 5% chance.
David Warner's 65 or 55 is irrelevant. Like, all that is stats for David Warner at the end of the season. It has had no material impact on the outcome of the game. It has had no material impact on the net run rate. And
I'm going to say, I think Manish Pandey's innings was more valuable to Delhi Capitals than David Warner's.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't quite go that far. But it's not like nobody here has done well. And the bowling has gone round the park for the 3rd match in a row as well. I don't know. I think it's tough times. I think it's going to be difficult for them to dig themselves out of this hole. Rodman Powell bowling 2 overs. That wasn't in the game plan at the beginning of the year, was it? I think Delhi are in real trouble. We're under a little bit of time pressure. So, is there anything you want to praise the Royals for? I mean, we have said lots of bad things about Delhi 3 times in a row, and I'm sure the way they're going that we'll have another opportunity. Royals bounce back. They were pretty good.
Yeah, I think they were. I think again, it looks like they've got that game plan. Sandeep Sharma here showing his value, and the surprise that he wasn't picked up in the mini auction, and what a great replacement he's been for Prasid Krishna. And yeah, having Bolt, Sharma, Ashwin, Holden, Chahal as your front 5 bowlers is that's luxurious in a 10-team league, and they're looking pretty. I'm very, very confident about the Pink Boys making the playoffs.
Yeah, another English player who's not been doing very well, Josh Butler, only 79 or 51 for him. I really don't understand this. I don't understand why people we don't know any of these English players. Like, it's not like they're our friends, just born near us. Obviously, we like Josh Butler because he's an exciting cricketer. But
he's doing that with stitches. He's cut his hand. He's doing this with stitches in his hand. He's literally making the game harder for himself, and he's still incredible.
At the other end,
Jaiswal,
I want to say this as well. Like, they hit the same number of boundaries, 11 fours, 1-6 each. Jaiswal does it with 20 less balls though. He's having a real breakout year.
Navni in the chat said, God saw Sehwag and made a left-handed replica in Jaiswal.
That's a good way. I think that's a good way to end part 2. Just a reminder, if you're tuning in on YouTube or wherever, Spotify, iTunes, hit like, hit subscribe, leave us a review. We've had the best start to an IPL ever in terms of listeners, stuff, and interactions. It's going ballistic. The Cricket Podcast is the place to be. Why don't you tell a friend? Word of mouth. We haven't done word of mouth for a while. Let your mum know. I think we're like mum material.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Right, let's hit the break button and we'll come back with El Clasico. Mumbai Indians v the Chennai Super Kings.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cricket Podcast. To a show sponsored by Manscaped. Precision engineered tools for your family jewels. It's good. If you need to shave hair off of your testicles, it is the number one tool that I've ever used in my life. And I've used a few, let me tell you. Tell you what I watched last night, and this is a little bit of a tangent, but in a way, an allegory for how things could go wrong. Have you seen the Banshees of Inisherin, Ross?
No, is it good?
It is, yeah, it is. There's like some gruesome scenes with garden shears. Don't use garden shears on your nuts. Use the Lawnmower 4.0. That's the message that I took from Mike McDonald's, the Banshees of Inisherin. And we can help you out with a good deal. Cricket Pod. Use the code Cricket Pod at manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping. That advert, I reckon, made a lot of sense. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. But I think it made more sense than what Mumbai Indians are trying to do this year.
Do you reckon? No, talk to me. We Manscaped, use it. Cricket Pod. Go.
Well, CSK beat Mumbai, and it's the hope that I think kills you for Mumbai fans, because they finally had a positive start with the bat. Were questioning why Deshpande remained in the CSK lineup. Deepak Chahar then pulled up with an injury, and Kishan, and Rohit were like pigs in shit. They were going at tens in the power play, and they'd set up a good platform for Sky to go mad, and then someone clicked their fingers, and Mumbai it all dissolved. Super Dhoni took a great grab down the leg side. Jadeja showed that he's considered the best fielder in the world for a reason when he did the incredible caught and bowled, which Cameron Green absolutely slapped. That was going at licks. And Mumbai just never really recovered. Tim David hit a few runs down the order. He is not the second coming of Kieran Pollard, as they kind of thought he was going to be.
I think he's done pretty well. Well, I feel like you haven't. I'm going to object to this. I'm objecting there.
Okay,
but
that's fine. You're a big Tim David buyer, but I think I'm not saying he's bad. But I think they are expecting too much from Tim David in this lineup at the moment. CSK then lost Conway early on, but Ajinkya Rahane, 50 off of 19 balls. And the rest was an absolute doddle for Gaikwad and Doob, who just chilled until 3D came in as an impact sub and saw them at home. It was for a team like CSK who were missing, they'd rested Stokes, Ali was rested as well. This was an absolute doddle for the man in yellow.
Yeah, it was, and I think, as we said in response to the super chat much earlier in the show, they played very professionally, they picked the right team, and they beat a bit of a useless franchise at the moment in Mumbai. Talking about Chennai Super Kings there. I'm on record as saying I don't really like the Super Kings, but it's very difficult to disrespect a performance like that. Like I don't think there's anything that you can point at from a CSK point of view where and say realistically that was bad cricket. I think they went there, they did everything that they needed to do. Mumbai were probably a bit lucky to get to 157. And CSK chased it down. I do think we should do a big shout out to Ajinkya Rahane. Like we might not actually see him that much in the IPL this year, but like when he's in full flow, he's a really beautiful batter, isn't he? Like, it's old school cricket.
Yeah, that's what I've written here. So the black magic of CSK with discarded old players is just unrivaled. And then Jinx came out and showed that that technique in cricket will always be valued. It was an elegant innings. There was no brutality. It was just class of kind of an era that is going by, and it was just a real lesson in how to play. Well, let's be fair, mediocre pace bowling.
Whoa. I mean, I think that undersells how good he was. I mean, I feel any time you get 50 off 19 balls, you've done well. Like to go back to the Rinku Singh, if you hit 5 sixes off a 12-year-old in the park, that's good going, even if you're a really good player. I think if you hit a 50, like a 19 ball 50, regardless of the circumstances, then that's excellent. And if you do it in the IPL, even if it is against Rashid Khan. And
he was all over the place,
around with okay figures. Then you deserve credit. So it's due. It is definitely due to CSK. Gaikwad gets another 40 as well to maintain his orange cap charge. He did it in a slightly more controlled fashion.
Yeah, I was happy with this because Gaikwad is my predicted orange cap winner, and he's looking pretty. But I also had Jadeja as the orange as the purple cap winner, and he finally took some more wickets today, which was yesterday, which is lovely to see.
Do you know what he's up to for the tournament?
4 wickets, I think.
Okay. Well, he's not out of it yet, is he?
He's no.
Like now, Super Giants have gone like slightly off piste and didn't pick Wood, did they, in the last game? So that could be one contender out of the race. Didn't Chahal get a bunch? I had Chahal.
Yeah, he did.
So I think
usually Chahal's pretty good. Collectively as a podcast, I think we'll get the correct predictions.
Did anyone have Rashid Khan? Because he's taken a few. Obviously, the hat trick will help.
Yeah, he's a boring choice though.
No.
But let's talk about this Mumbai Indian lineup, right? Purely the fact that they just don't have the bowler. Like picking Tristan Stubbs here. Like what are they trying to achieve? Like there's no piece here where you're going, that is the logical selection choice here. And you can just see that the Galactico approach of spending all of their money on 4 or 5 players and then just a bunch of squaddies, it's just not going to work. They've almost gone like what RCB have historically done. And how well has that gone for RCB? Not very well. And they're in disarray. And if I'm the Ambanis, I'm sitting there going, "Oh no, our plaything is embarrassing us as a family. Like this is not good from them at all."
Yeah, no, I personally am loving it. I described Mumbai as some of their selections as basically a vanity project, and I'm going to keep beating that drum. Like it's some of these players you would only buy if your main objective was to have well-known cricket players on your team. Like you wouldn't, I don't think, assemble this lineup. Well, no, you just wouldn't. Like if you logically thought this through and you used reason and facts and basic planning, you wouldn't spend your money the way that they have on the players that they have. If your objective was to have like the most famous Indian player that you can get that isn't Virat Kohli, well, you got Rohit Sharma and you got Bumrah, so you've accomplished both of those. And then like some pretty famous guys from overseas, or the most famous guys that you can think of from overseas, you've done quite a good job. Like Rohit, Isham, Suryakumar Yadav, Bumrah, Archer, Cam Green. You are covering, like from a marketing point of view, a bunch of the if you're talking world's top 10 most well-known cricketers, quite a few of them in that 11. Or in that 10, but they're a bad team. Like they're just objectively they're a bad team. Like all of those, all of those players, they are good and they are talented, and some of them have got potential. I genuinely, I sincerely believe that eventually you will see Cam Green be a productive IPL player. I don't think he'll be a productive IPL player on the for the amount of money that's being spent on him. I think he'll be a productive IPL player like somebody like Quinton de Kock is a productive IPL player, like a really good, like second or third best overseas player in your squad. He isn't going to be what they want, I think.
And this is the piece of it. We get repeatedly told that Mumbai's network of scouts is unparalleled. They've found so many brilliant players. And yeah, they have. But here, their number one spinner is Piyush Chawla. Like you can't be telling me that they've got a load of stuff in the bag when it's like, this is what we're doing. And then the other part the Mumbai fans were kind of coming at us with on Twitter the other day when we said they were bad, is that, we've got a really young team, we're building for the future. That is just a cop-out, a complete cop-out. The tournament is really now to win. Yeah, and you're sitting there going, this is not what you're built for. And them spunking all their money on Ishan Kishan as a kind of, don't worry, we look after the boys scenario, has backfired, and retaining Rohit Sharma, who is not worth the 16 crore that they are spending on him, it is showing loyalty of people which didn't require it towards the end of what is an unfortunate demise of the Mumbai Indians franchise.
And it's happened really quickly. And seemingly without like anyone showing a lot of interest in sustaining it. Like it bears repeating a few times. This bowling attack is like, it's really bad.
Oh, so they don't have a bowling attack. They just not even that thing. They just don't have a bowling attack.
And look, and this has happened. They've got away with Cam Green bowling 3 overs for 20 as well. Like he's finally not been bad, and it's still meaningless. They still lose with how many overs? Well, only 2 overs, but that's mainly because Shivam Dubey.
That was a weird thing.
Doesn't care about net run rate.
Yeah, this was also a bit like some teams. I think sometimes just completely forget the dynamics of how the league works. Yeah. And here, CSK could have killed that game off way earlier. Yeah. But never mind, eh?
Yeah, good for them. Anything else on Mumbai v CSK?
No, I just think it's again a really good step forward for CSK. They've looked, I think, a very well drilled team as we have come to expect. And I think if you look at the kind of table, we said it was going to be a very, very competitive year. And you've got 6 teams on 4 points. No one's running away with it. And I think it's a really exciting time.
Let's we've done some predictions. We've got about 3 minutes before we wrap up. We hit the hour mark, so we have just enough time to have a look at the next couple of games. But I want to hear from you now. Who would be your 4 for the playoffs after we've seen everyone 3 times?
Rajasthan Royals are definitely going to get there. CSK are definitely going to get there.
I think I'd agree with both of those, by the way. I don't think CSK are one of the best 4 teams, but I think their home advantage and the fact, I think I'd look at their schedule. Don't they play Mumbai again? It's like they've got a bit of an advantage here. Anyway, carry on.
I think so. I think if we look at... So I was liking Punjab until they decided to press the panic button today for no reason. So they go into the middle pudding bit along with RCB in that middle pudding bit. Yeah. And then I think the final 2. I've got a choice of 3 out of KKR, LSG, and Gujarat. I like Gujarat. There's something heartwarming about them. I don't know how sustainable it is, but they're going to be there. And LSG, I think for some reason the all-rounders and wicket-keepers thing is working.
I agree with Lucknow, and I think Lucknow might end up with a bit of a CSK thing at home as well. Like their pitch, I think you can basically if you're the home team cheat a little bit. I think it's a disgrace that can happen in $1 billion league. Like that you effectively let the home team roll out the pitch that they played against SRH on the other day. They should have been fined points for that surface. But by the by, it's not against the rules, and they'll probably abuse it. So I think they'll get there. And I think Gujarat's bowling, if Hardik is back and plays a lot, will be good enough. So I'd go with that.
And that's what I really like about this at the moment is that you've got so much potential. We're 2 or 3 games in for all these teams. You've seen people coming out of international cricket. You've got injuries. You've got all kinds of things at play. This season is going to have so many twists and turns, and yeah, we've got so much to look forward to. That I think that this could be completely flipped on its head, and don't be surprised if we do have some big upsets. But at the moment, wooden spooners.
I mean, that's the other
are
thing to say. It's like, I'm not saying here I'm going to bet all my money on this. I wouldn't be. I would genuinely wouldn't be surprised if 3 out of 4 of those teams that we just said would make the playoffs don't. Maybe Josh Butler gets a hand infection and is injured, and then Rajasthan is suddenly not looking so hot, are they? Like it's a very volatile format. It's a very volatile league. Ross, we've got 3 matches coming up before our next show on Wednesday. Make sure you're subscribing, you're tuning in. Wednesday, 7 o'clock UK time, 11:30 IST. RCB v Lucknow is tomorrow. Who are you backing?
RCB versus Lucknow. So RCB is really interesting right now because they've got some injuries. They need some more batting, as we saw in the last time. Patidar being out is a blow for them, but shouldn't be as much of a blow as they made it out to be last time. Lucknow, are they at home? Lucknow?
They are away. They're in
this be
Bangalore.
Do you know what? As much as I'm backing them to make the playoffs, RCB is a must-win game for them. They've got big name players. I think RCB will pip them tomorrow.
I think that's incredibly close, but I probably agree with you. I think RCB they'll win games this year. Delhi v Mumbai on Tuesday.
Oh, that's the real slugfest. No, short of Delhi will win that one. I think.
I think Delhi are better than Mumbai. I do. It's at the Kotla in Delhi as well, so probably a little bit of advantage for them there. Also, though, I kind of wouldn't be stunned if this is the game where somebody just gets 100 from Mumbai.
Delhi's Sky bowling actually hit some runs.
Yeah, something like that. Wednesday is Chennai Super Kings v the Rajasthan Royals at the Chapok. What are you saying?
Well, that is. I think that is a huge game. That's going to be game of the tournament so far. I think we've got Ashwin and Chahal both playing at the Chapok. That is a huge boon for them, and coming up against that. So I'll back my boys in pink, but I think this is going to be game of the tournament so far.
Yeah, I think in terms of quality, you might be right there. Might see a little bit of Rian Parag as well, turning his arm over. So I think that the Royals are one of the teams that might go to Chapok and actually bowl loads of spin. Dan was talking about this, just as a final point. Dan was talking about this on Wednesday's show. It was like there's a massive differential in the amount of spin bowled by CSK and away teams. It's like 3 overs. I don't think Rajasthan are stupid enough to do that. I don't think they're going to be subbing in a pacer at half time like Sunrise.
Well, they subbed in Murugan Ashwin, didn't they, in the last game? So yeah, I think they've got a serious game plan at the moment, and they've also got batters who can play against spin, which is a huge piece, right?
We'll see. Right, that's it. That's the Cricket Podcast for Sunday. Back on Wednesday. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We're having a great time doing these shows, and it's all down to you guys tuning in. So like, subscribe, enjoy the cricket.
Bye, everybody.